Hey, I'm Darlene and you're watching a rapid-fire art tutorial. In this video, I'll cover how to draw ears from the front, side, and back. I'll be using the Wacom Cintiq 16, Photoshop, the Pro Pen Slim for the very first time, and a Photoshop brush called Pixel Stains. All tools will be linked in the description. Let's start by drawing an ear from the side view of the human head. Start with a slanted line like so, because the ear is sort of slanted back instead of straight up and down. Draw an oval that is positioned more to the right. This will act as a rough guideline to help us shape a more detailed ear. This line marks where the ear is connected to the head. These are all the construction lines that we will need to help us draw the ear. Let's draw the ear, starting along the straight line. I'm starting my stroke at a small distance from the oval, but you can start lower or higher than this. That's something you can experiment with. And then, use the oval as a rough guideline to shape the rest of your ear. I like to give it a more interesting shape using angles, like so, but feel free to follow the oval more closely. Draw the earlobe similarly to how we drew the top, except this area is going to be much more narrow in comparison. Continue your stroke up to finish your ear outline. Here's a look at the angles that I used. Now, ears come in all sorts of unique shapes, so don't be afraid to get creative here. I'll show a few more examples later. Along this line, we're going to draw a bump, positioning it more than halfway down. This is called the tragus. It's a piece of cartilage that sticks out in front of the ear canal. Extend your stroke down, up to the far right, and then up to the left. We're going to use this part of the ear shape as a guideline to draw a similar shape that runs close to the edge. The distance from the edge is up to you. This part is called the helix. Vary the darkness of your lines to achieve different levels of depth. This part can actually curve in a little more. Let's get rid of the construction lines to remove distraction. Beside this, draw another curve parallel to it. It's also part of the helix. This part can take on many shapes. Here's an example of a hooked shape. I actually did that so I could make a little more space to add one more thing. So the cartilage sort of forms a Y shape here. Draw a curve like so that flares out at the top, creating a Y-like shape. The part that makes it look even more like a Y is this part here, where the cartilage becomes concave, making this area look like a Y once it's shaded. You can add faint lines to indicate slight bumps. Let's draw an ear from the front view now. Draw a line to represent the side of the head. This time, draw a very narrow oval. We're going to draw this similarly to the first ear, but with a few slight differences. Make it as round or as angular as you want. So already, you can see that this one is less wide because we're viewing it from a different angle. Let's draw the tragus next. Start your stroke about midway between here and here. The tragus itself is positioned closer to the earlobe. It can take on a few different shapes. Here's another variation. Let's draw the helix next, while using the ear outline as a reference. Let's make it thicker here by drawing our line quite a distance from the edge. When viewing the ear from this angle, this part of the helix will be more visible, more prominent than the rest. This part of the helix is going to appear more narrow. Notice how from this angle, the helix is wider, while this one appears pinched? As the ear rotates, like this coin, even a round edge can appear pointy. Remember the Y-shaped bit of cartilage? That's called the antihelix. It's convex, meaning it protrudes outward, which is quite apparent from this angle. So let's draw that part accordingly. It can even stick out more. And the rest is quite straightforward. Right here, I'm drawing a bump called the antitragus. I'm only mentioning it now because I wanted to keep the first example fairly simple. It could appear more subtle for some people, like in the example that I'm about to draw. Some ears stick out from the head more or less than others. Here's an example of one that's very close to the head. You can use a super narrow oval to construct this. This drawing is more narrow compared to the previous one, which makes it look as though it's pressed really close to the head. Let's move these elsewhere to make some room. Now let's draw an ear from behind. This one's a lot more simple than the others. Draw a slanted line representing the side of the head, making it slant in at the bottom. Draw your oval to the left of the head. Actually, I want it to be the same size as the last ear, so I'll have to make my oval bigger. We're going to draw the ear outline similarly to how we drew the other two, with one slight difference. The helix wraps around the front and disappears from our line of sight, so I'm stopping my stroke right here. Draw the bottom portion of the ear by loosely following the oval. Draw a line parallel to this edge, and that's it. That will complete our ear drawing from the back view. Again, I like to give my ears a more angular structure. Here's an optional detail. For some people with extra skin behind the ear, such as the elderly, you might see the skin bunch up near the bottom. And also at the top, where the ear is attached to the head. I'm going to draw another ear from this angle, showing you a slight variation in shape. As you can see, I'm deviating from the construction lines. Vary the darkness of your lines to achieve different levels of depth. Here's an example of an ear from the back view that's pressed very close to the head, where everything seems sort of compressed. I'm drawing a narrow oval. It provides a path that I can follow, but again, I don't have to follow it to a T. With the ear so close to the head, certain areas such as this will become less visible or fully hidden. Let's draw this part much straighter. This bump is the anti-helix poking out. Draw this part while varying the thickness of your strokes, just to make it look a little more interesting. Add some wrinkles if you like. I'm just adding a jawline. I've got to erase some of these distracting construction lines. When you're comfortable, try to do it without using as many construction lines. Here's an example of a rounder ear and a wider earlobe. Now here's how I draw the opposite ear for those of you who want to learn how to draw a pair. Here's how I draw the opposite of this one. Here's how I draw the opposite of this one. A thick, dark line can be interpreted as a deep valley or crevice. So this is how it'll look if I follow my oval construction line almost exactly. It'll give me a very round ear. You can stretch your creative muscles by exaggerating certain aspects, such as the earlobe. You can add random bumps, pimples, or even nicks. Use faint lines to indicate slight bumps and folds on the ear's surface. Let me just add some wrinkles around the connection point between the ear and head. Additional details, such as piercings, are also an option. Now, I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I release new videos. Thanks for watching.